everyone. Thank you for joining us. I'm Mayor Sheehy, and we have City Manager Jess Knudson.
Good morning.
We're here with coffee with the Mayor and City Manager this morning on October 1st. We have, what we'll do is, like normal, we'll go over a few updates on the city, and then we'll turn it over to our citizens and answer any questions you may have about any of the topics we discussed or anything that might be on your mind. October represents a lot of great things for Lake Havasu City. One, it's our golden anniversary, so we'll be celebrating 50 years since the dedication of the London Bridge, and it kicks off all today on October 1st. October is also Breast Cancer Awareness Month and Domestic Violence Awareness Month, and I'm going to bring Mary Lou O'Connell with Haven and her board of directors up to the stage to talk a little bit about what their organization does and bring some awareness to domestic violence in our community. We're going to just stand close to each other, and then we'll pick up on the mic this way.
Yeah. Hello, I'm Mary Lou O'Connell. I'm the director of Haven Family Resource Center. I have Steve and Daniel Aarons, our board members, and then Crystal works for the city as a victim advocate.
1 second.
We're coming with a mic. Yeah, perfect.
Can you hear me now?
Yes. There we go.
My name is Mary Lou O'Connell. I'm the director of Haven Family Resource Center. We are celebrating our 20th anniversary of being in our community. We are a victim advocacy center. I have with me our board, Steve and Daniel Aarons are on our board, and then Crystal, who works for the city. She's a victim advocate. The goal of October is to raise awareness and let the community know that there's resources and that we are available. We're available 24 hours a day. So if anybody knows anybody who needs our assistance, we are here to help. The governor started a campaign, Stop Domestic Violence. Working together, we're hoping to do that.
Excellent. We'll go this way and we'll take a picture to bring some awareness to domestic violence.
We're right up here. How are you?
Yeah, right here. Oh, well, it's Steve Hall.
Oh, over there.
Yes. Excellent. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you for all the great work that you folks do.
Fantastic.
There is an event today at the Haven Family Resource Center starting at 5 o'clock.
Correct.
At 5 o'clock, they'll be having an open house. It's on McCulloch. Please come on and join them and be able to walk through the facility, tour what they do, and see all the great work that they do down there. So thank you. All right, getting into some really exciting news. We had, since we last met, an announcement from Allo Communications. They're going to make a $50 million investment in Lake Havasu City. The $50 million investment is going to bring broadband services, fiber to the home and business. It's going to be another option for cable, internet, and telephone services for Lake Havasu City. Yeah, we've been working very diligently to bring any type of provider, work with our local providers that are already here, or bring new providers into the market to help enhance and give options for our citizens. Obviously, the more options that we have, the better the competition is, the lower the rates are, and the better the service is. Allo Communications is based out of Nebraska. They've done this over 20 times now.
Right there.
Yeah, purpose-built 20 different communities, mostly in Nebraska and Colorado. This is their first entry into the Arizona market, but the first of many communities in Arizona that they intend to invest in. They're looking at about 18 to 24 month build-out period. So within 18 to 24 months, folks will be able to have access to this. They'll build it in zones. So the first zone obviously will be able to come online if they so choose. And then as they build through the community, more people will be able to join on to their network. But we're talking speeds that we have never seen in Lake Havasu City, and many communities across the nation don't even have. Speeds of 10 gig on the broadband side. And again, it will provide telephone services and video services as well going forward. So very, very exciting to welcome Allo Communications as one of the providers here in Lake Havasu City.
I mean, just to put that in context, though, high speeds that we enjoy, 200 to 300 megabytes per second. 1,000 megabytes is at 1 gig. We're talking about 10 gigabytes worth of speed that's available to the home. So we're very excited about that. And like you said, it's about sparking competition. So if other providers want to step up and do the same thing and compete for a business as customers in Lake Havasu City, you're going to choose who's the best one and let the one with the best service come out ahead.
Yeah, so very exciting news. So stay tuned for more information from Allo Communications as they start making their way through. They expect to start the construction in the first quarter of 2022. They would start right away, except they need to get some approvals from the Arizona Corporation Commission, which will take just a little bit of time for them to do so. But they are eager and ready to go and have the money set aside to invest here in Lake Havasu City. Another exciting item that we were discussing this week at our council meeting was the Downtown Catalyst project. I'll give just a little bit of history about that, and then I'll turn it over to Jess to talk about the project specifically. But Lake Havasu City entered into America's Best Community competition in 2015. This was a competition that was trying to change rural economic development in communities across the United States of America. When we entered the competition, we had over 350 communities enter initially. Lake Havasu City made it through the first round, through the second round, through the third round, through the fourth round, and then finally we became a top 10 finalist. And when we went to the top 10 finalists, what we were doing is we were competing for our revitalization plan. The way that the revitalization plan came to be was we had citizens engaged through an Arizona town hall process. We invited citizens from every organization, every walk of life, citizens at large, every group, fraternal organization, economic development organization, to come to ASU. They spent an entire Saturday, and through that had a conversation for what the Lake Havasu City of the future needs to look like. Out of that meeting, what happened is 5 pillars of change were identified, which is economic development and job creation, education and talent supply, tourism and place development, water, and community engagement. So with those 5 pillars of change, there was then tactics that were built onto those. That was the plan that we took forward to win the competition, and Lake Havasu City was a $2 million grand prize winner. 3 projects, thank you, 3 projects rose to the top of what those funds would be used for. They are the Downtown Catalyst project, they are the co-working location, or the co-work location center, and then also an environmental learning center. So those are the 3 projects that were prioritized by the citizens. So all of the citizens developed the 5 pillars of change, and then when we actually won the competition, we brought Arizona Town Hall back out to identify what the projects would be, where the monies and the winnings would be spent. So we've been looking at a variety of different options. What the Downtown Catalyst project was to do was it was going to be a public-private partnership in the downtown corridor. Basically, we would have an outdoor gathering space augmented by some private development. And so when we were looking at different iterations over the last 5 years, the private side kept being a public side. So it would be a public-public partnership with either ASU looking to move down there or some other governmental or taxpayer-funded building. And that wasn't what we agreed to. That's not what the citizens agreed to. So we kept going back to the drawing board to get investors that would have some interest in this area. What we ended up coming up with is that downtown gathering space, which is the lot on Quario and McCulloch, is used for great events. It's already a gathering place. Not ideal. There's some topography issues. There's no real services such as restrooms or power or those types of things. So we thought, let's use the winnings and be able to create this downtown gathering space, whatever it may be. And we had that discussion at our council meeting on Tuesday. We have hired Dig Consulting. Dig Consulting will come together and do public outreach, so meet with citizens, stakeholders, ASU, business owners, to be able to envision what this is going to look like. And then we will be able to have construction documents to actually start building this downtown gathering spot, what was envisioned through the America's Best Community competition. Jess, I'll turn over to you to talk about more of the specifics of that process and what that looks like.
Yeah, I've had a couple conversations since the last council meeting with some residents, and I think it's just maybe some confusion about some of the conversations that have taken place in years past. And this approach that we're talking about now is different than what we've talked about in a few years ago. So through the great efforts of the Partnership for Economic Development, they were looking at trying to find some type of a public-private partnership that would come in, build a business or a restaurant or something on that space. The dollars didn't make sense. The investors weren't coming forward, and we couldn't get a deal to take place for that. But in the end, I hear a lot from the downtown business owners and from members of the community that let's preserve that area for a special event space, and that's what we're trying to accomplish right now, given the efforts. Mike Keene is our Parks and Recreation Director, and he is leading the project for Lake Havasu City. And what he's going to be doing is working with Dig Studios and trying to learn more from the community, from the downtown business owners, for those that provide or host special events in that area, and what we want to do. with that space to augment and enhance the existing events that happen. In the end, we're trying to create a public gathering space in the downtown, a space where our residents are going to want to go and enjoy the area, a space where people can go and into the downtown and eat, drink, shop, and the business owners in the downtown would then benefit from that type of project. So it's a long, laborious process. We're going to include as many people as we can to get an understanding of what that kind of looks like, and we'll put together a plan, again, to kind of enhance that space for a public gathering space.
Yeah, and so the idea with the America's Best Communities competition and the Vision 2020 plan was that Catalyst project would then spur other development on the downtown corridor. So with the growth of the ASU campus and more students coming to that campus, and then they will be able to use the McCulloch area, and the area will be able to transform. For those of us that have lived here, 10 plus years, you can already see some of that transformation happening on McCulloch with some of the eateries, restaurants, and shops that are down on the lower part of McCulloch, and that will then continue to go as you rise up McCulloch and connect in with the ASU campus. So it was a very visionary project from the community that led that in 2015, and we're excited to be able to bring that to fruition going forward. We also had a discussion at the council meeting about special events ordinance. We have tons of special events, and the city works to help facilitate to ensure that the special events can occur in a very easy fashion for our event promoters. So we have anything from our large-scale events such as Desert Storm or Monster Storm or Relics and Rods, all the way to walks and gatherings that way. And so there's a variety of different ways. So Jess, I'll let you talk about kind of what the special event ordinance is going to do and how that clarifies that for event organizers.
Yeah, so thank you, Mayor. In the end, I think what we wanted to get across is that we love special events in Lake Havasu City. We like the events. There's several marquee events that occur in the community, and several events smaller events that occur throughout the year. I think as we celebrate the golden anniversary of the London Bridge, 20 to 25 events are scheduled for this month alone in Lake Havasu City, and that's a very good thing. That's brings the community together, brings people from outside Havasu to come and enjoy our amenities. So we're going through a process there to make sure that the events are organized in a manner that's safe for the people that attend, for the crowds. If something would occur at a special event, we want to make sure that the event organizers, the city team, we're all prepared to make sure that everybody's safe in that type of environment. Some other items that we're talking about is introducing a little bit more of a rigorous trash plan. So if you want to host a special event in Lake Havasu City, that's fantastic. How are you going to take care of your event? How are you going to manage the trash while the event's going on? At the end of the day, we need you to leave Havasu as beautiful as it is before the event started. So we're going to go through that process and try to streamline a little bit. We're going to turn a 10, 15-page application into smaller applications that accommodate what people want to do. Anthony Kozlowski is the assistant to the city manager, and if anybody has questions about special events or you're thinking about organizing an event, that goes through Anthony. For all events that the city is involved with. If you need an application, or excuse me, a permit from Lake Havasu City, that only is necessary if you're going to utilize city resources. So if you need the use of police and fire or public works or a street closure, those types of things, that's where this special event process works for what we're talking about today. If you it's a small little gathering and different events that happen on private property, they don't have to go through a process like this too, but we just want to make sure that all the resources are aligned, and we want to enhance what we have again.
Excellent. The other thing that has come up since last time we've been together is we actually had two different operators related to the airport that have come forward and want to do some operations in Lake Havasu City. One is a helicopter tour. They were operating temporarily over at the Island Inn, so you might have seen a lot of helicopter activity over the month of August. I think is pretty much the height of that.
Yeah.
And then we also had one that wants to do skydiving. And so currently city ordinance doesn't allow any takeoff or landing other than at the airport. So that you don't have a lot of different aircraft throughout the community and for safety. However, these are two different type of operations that might make sense that they take operations outside of the airport. So we're going through a process right now to discover and see how we can assist these businesses and and the citizens and have that balance. Let Jess talk about the process of what we're going through to ensure that we can talk these things through and see if we can make it happen for these businesses and what that might look like. Obviously, with a helicopter operation, that brings noise and it brings debris that's blowing around. And so how do we ensure the safety with still allowing people to enjoy that type of an activity? So Jess, if you want to talk about what we're going through and how that will come before council in the future.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was at the same time, within a week of each other, I received a phone call from our local operator who's been doing business here in Havasu for a couple of years, I believe now, and it does helicopter tours. And he was doing those tours over at the airport. And then he contacted me after he moved over there that we have a code in place with the city that restricts takeoff and landing of aircraft outside of the airport, outside of hot air balloons and a few minor details there. But essentially, and then I get a call from the skydiving operation that wants to parachute in on the island. Right now, the code restricts that type of use. So we're taking a look at that. We want to make sure that we're doing this in a safe manner. I did receive lots of phone calls in that month of August when the helicopter was operating on the island. Most of those were from the residents on the island that were concerned about the noise and that was happening, and a couple residents that were concerned about the refueling that was happening over there as well. But we're trying to put something in place that's going to make sense and provide maybe some amenities to Havasu. So right now, our airport experts are taking a look at the code and trying to put a plan in place that's going to be safe for those that are operating these types of aircraft, as well as something that's going to mitigate any type of nuisance that could come about from the use of the use of those aircrafts. So, and then that's going to go before the Airport Advisory Board, and we have a board that will take a look at that language, and that'll come up here, I think this month in October. So that'll take place, and then they'll provide a recommendation, and that code change will then, if that's what they deem as the possibility, will then go before council, and they'll make a decision on what we want to do there. In years past, that ordinance, I think 2015 or 2016, was last time it was modified. It actually had in there that you couldn't take off or land a hot air balloon in Lake Havasu City at that time. So we obviously see some enthusiasts, and I think for the most part, all of our residents enjoy seeing the hot air balloons out there on a calm day. So we'll take a look at it, set everything up, get some input from the residents. In the end, we want to do what's right by our residents.
Yeah, thank you. We also have the utility rate study that we've been going through. We've been going through it for about 18 months. It's now complete and has been complete for about 6 months. But to go over what that is the very first quasi-government that was set up by Robert McCulloch back in the 60s was the Irrigation and Drainage District. What that did is that provided tax base to be able to put sewer and water infrastructure in Lake Havasu City. So councils, prior to ours, so many years ago, would refinance that debt so that they could continue to collect the tax. The tax is about $5.7 million. The IDD was supposed to expire by the vote of the people in 1978 when the citizens voted to incorporate Lake Havasu City. But because it had debt, it couldn't do so. And so when they would refinance that debt, it would allow that property tax that you would see on your tax bill, referred to as the Irrigation and Drainage District, to provide $5.7 million to the water fund. Now that debt is set to expire, the IDD is going to expire, which means the $5.7 million that goes towards the water infrastructure or the water fund is no longer. So our water fund is an enterprise fund, so it's basically a nonprofit system. So the ratepayers that pay into that system pay for the cost of operating that system. And so we took a look with the utility rate study of what that looks like on a 10-year basis. So for the next 10 years, what type of capital investment are we going to need to ensure that our infrastructure remains viable and useful and provides clean, quality water services and takes away the sewer from your homes? Also, what is it going to cost to operate it? So the electric costs, the staffing costs, parts and maintenance and all those types of things. They took all of those pieces together and they then tried to simplify what the billing process is like. We always had winter quarterly averaging here in Lake Havasu City. Basically, it took the average of the 3 lowest of 4 months in the winter to determine what your sewer charge was going to be. It was very complex. It was hard to understand. Citizens would get confused by what that process would look like, and there was really no equity built into the system. So part-time residents that weren't here year-round might be getting a benefit, where those of us that live here year-round were having to pay for that. And so they looked at all of these different things. Again, we had many public outreach events. We had many public hearings at the City Council. We listened to a lot of feedback from our customers and our citizens about what that looks like. And then the first billing goes into place in August of this year. And then we start seeing some real world scenarios and how that's playing out. And so what we've discovered is that the multifamily homes, their bills went up a considerable amount of money. And so multifamily is apartment homes, condos, duplexes, those types of things. And they're very significant increases. We've had reports at council actually just this last Tuesday of almost 100% increase. And it makes it very difficult for these HOAs that, one, don't have that in their budget for this current year, and two, they have some limitations on how much they can raise their HOA fees to cover those costs in the future years. So we understand that that is an issue. We have got back with the consultant that put together all of these different numbers. They're calculating the different scenarios, and they'll be at the council on October 26th to give options to the council about a path forward on this area. Now, all of the single-family homes, businesses, they also either have seen their rates remain the same or seen a really insignificant increase, maybe $10 or so a month, depending on what type of water usage that you have. And so the other piece of that is the property owner, you will not have to pay that property tax, so the IDD goes away. So it basically is a wash on those areas. So we'll be taking a look at that on October 26th, bring options to the council, and the council will be able to make a decision on a path forward for those multifamily homes. Jess, I don't know if you have any additional, I know you've been fielding phone calls as well and talking with citizens.
Yeah, certainly, and like you indicated, Mayor, we've been talking about this for several years now, and talking about the expiration of the IDD, that irrigation and drainage district, for much longer than that. And I think that's a kind of an important element, because the whole conversations that we've been talking about for several years now with the expiration of the IDD triggered this process, and for everybody to take a look at it. So next year on your property tax bill, you're going to see a savings. Since the inception of an incorporation of Havasu, those dollars on your property tax bill, there's one line item on there that says IDD. That goes away. But prior to that money was used to fund the water system. So, and that I've had conversations with other city managers across the state, with a consultant who does lots of these different studies. We were very unique in that aspect. No other city in Arizona did it in that form or fashion. So as we advance forward, now your bill is going to be reflected in your monthly bill that you receive on a monthly basis. So the good news is there will be a bit of an offset as that occurs. We've had a lot of conversations up to this point about equity throughout the system. So we're looking at if you're in a multifamily, a condo, or a duplex, those types of accounts that might have maybe 3 people are in that home, flushing the toilet, using the shower, and utilizing our nonprofit water and sewer systems to the same degree as three people in a single family home might be doing. There was an equity with those 2 different scenarios. The single-family homeowners were paying more for these systems than those that were residing in the multifamily areas, the condos, the apartments, and duplexes, and so forth. So we took a look at trying to find some type of equity and treat those 2 categories in a way that was based on usage. But as you indicated, Mayor, we saw some sharp increases. Because those in the condo associations and so forth weren't paying at the same rate as the single-family homes. So then obviously, if we're going to move the rates and adjust those rates a little bit, it's those in the condos, the apartments, and the duplexes that saw a sharp increase. Council's indicated, some members of council have indicated a concern for that. So we're going to bring the consultant in and take a look at that much closer. In the end, we keep mentioning it, but it's important, a nonprofit water system, a nonprofit sewer system. All the fees that were collected are used for that and that alone. So your water bill pays for the water service. We have 1 wastewater treatment plant that cost the city more than $20 million several years ago. We have 3 wastewater treatment plants that are equal cost. We have more than 400 miles of sewer line. We have more than 400 miles of water lines throughout the community. So throughout the year, 12 months out of the year, we're maintaining those systems so that so we can, flush the toilet and take a shower and wash the dishes and do all the things that we want to do. And that's what's most important, is to make sure that there's no interruptions in that type of service. We hear stories about out in Florida or even in elsewhere in Arizona, certainly the Flint, Michigan scenario about these are all things that can occur if you don't take care of your infrastructure. So that's important, and that's where it all started. So once we know how much money we need to operate the system, not just for this year, but planning out for improvements and replacement of parts and equipment and treatment plants and all the rest, we have to then identify how those funds are collected from the community in a way that's fair and equitable. Again, the consultant will be at the council meeting October 26th and be able to run some scenarios that if we do this with this rate, what does that mean over here, or how does it impact this project? So we'll go through all that, and we'll present that to council, and council will make a decision on the next steps.
Yeah, excellent. I hear a lot of times we have been very fortunate, like Havasu City, with an increase in general tax fund revenues because of the influx in tourism and some of the great things that our business community is doing when it comes to the sales tax collections. And so oftentimes people will say, we'll take some of those excess revenues and put them towards the water fund. Again, it's an enterprise fund. It's against the law to do that. So the funds that we collect for water and wastewater are what we can use to pay for the water and wastewater. So it's not a scenario where you can do that. And those funds that are what you might consider excess will be used in our future budget planning as we're doing priorities for Lake Havasu City. So keep that in mind, that we can't actually take other monies and do that, with the exception of grants and some of those types of things, which we apply for on a regular basis, and will continue to do so to help offset that liability to our ratepayers. So again, we're very focused on this. We understand what a hardship it has created, especially for those multifamily folks. And if you have any stories or scenarios, please reach out and share them with us so that we can be sure to ask those specific questions to ensure that we have options to have a solution going forward. We also, I mentioned earlier, but we have our 50th anniversary. It's going to kick off today, right after this event. There'll be a great event that's going to kick off and do the ribbon cutting for the 50th anniversary. We're obviously very proud of our heritage here in Lake Havasu City, all centered around this beautiful bridge that we have here. There's so many different activities and events that will be planned. I invite you to go to golakehavasu.com and check out all of the different events that are happening. There's some of our iconic events that generally happen in October that have a new flair and a new spin to them as part of the celebrations. And then there's other events that will be happening as well, just for the 50th anniversary. But as part of that, we were able to launch new lights here on the bridge. The light technology is also 50 years old. So all the original wiring, all the original canisters, all of the original technology for the lighting, again, is 50 years old. So the lighting that we have put in has greatly exceeded my expectations. It's really cool stuff, but I'm going to let Jess talk about that because he and his team worked really hard on that. But what we did is we put in LED lights that change color. And so it seems very innovative, but anyone that goes to Home Depot or Lowe's buys light bulbs that are LED that change color. So it's just what normal technology is. It just looks beautiful here on this bridge. But Jess, do you want to talk about how cool it is? That would be fantastic.
Yeah, thank you, Mayor. Very excited. And first off, I want to thank our Public Works team, who worked very, very hard over the last several months to get everything set up and be able to be working by today, to celebrate the golden anniversary of the London Bridge. They worked very, very hard. If you crossed the bridge in the last couple of months, you saw kind of a lift that was hanging over the bridge, and our Public Works team was out there changing bulbs, replacing old wiring, replacing crushed and unusable conduit. So there was a lot of effort that went into that. Essentially, we have, give or take, about 350 lights on this side of the bridge and about 350 lights on the other side of the bridge. Each one, of those lights now is programmable through colors and so forth. If you take a look at it, you'll see 4 little on each bulb up there. On the if you're at home and you're coming out of the bridge, take a look at the bulbs, and that's how they're set up. Today is October 1st. It kicks off all the things we talked about, including Domestic Violence Awareness Month and Breast Cancer Awareness Month as well too. Those colors are purple and pink. So for the month of October, with a couple exceptions and other special days that'll occur throughout the month, but for the month of October, starting tonight, take a look at it. You're going to see some pinks and some purples on the bridge to raise awareness for those very, very important causes. We have some special different lights that will be set up throughout the year for the 4th of July. It's pretty amazing what that's gonna look like. It's not just the colors, the static colors, excuse me, that are out there. We're able to provide motion with those lights and do a little bit of a show. So for 4th of July, while we're doing the fireworks, you're going to see some amazing light show on the bridge during that time frame. There'll be for our summer moments is 9/11. We have a planned event for that. Thanksgiving, Halloween, Christmas. Some of those events that occur throughout the year. So invite you to take a look at it, and it all kicks off tonight on October 1st.
Yeah, great, thank you. If you've seen anything on social media, it's pretty spectacular. They were doing some testing this past weekend, and it really just blew up all over social media with how cool it is. Now, in addition to the different colors, the vibrancy of just the white lights that will be there on an everyday basis really just makes the bridge that showpiece that it is, and it really stands out at night. So great work, Jess, to you and your team for that. We're really excited to debut that this month. We also have been talking about water conservation. This isn't a new conversation like Havasu City. We've been talking about it for a really long time, but it's been brought about with the first tier 1 drought that has been called for the first time ever on the Colorado River. And so we wanted to bring certainty to our residents and to our business community about the city's plan. We have a pretty in-depth water conservation plan. It's about 80 pages. It's available on our website. But we're going to now take it a step further and look at different conservation efforts and what those might look like in a tier 2 or a tier 3 shortage. So water entitlements in Lake Havasu City, we've been very forward thinking in this position and been able to obtain water entitlements for Lake Havasu City for our full build out, which is in our general plan. A lot of people say to me, well, we don't want it to be 90,000 residents or 95,000 residents that the general plan identifies. And I don't want you to think that I do either, but we have to plan accordingly because that's what our general plan has in, that's the land holding. So if we were to have an influx and we didn't plan for it, we wouldn't have the proper roads, we wouldn't have the proper schools, we wouldn't have the proper park amenities, we wouldn't have any of those things if we didn't have a plan somewhere in there. So we do have water entitlements for our full build out in our general plan. The tier 1 shortages will not impact our entitlements at all. That doesn't mean we shouldn't still be great conservators of water, but it won't have any impact. Tier 2 also would not have an impact necessarily on Lake Havasu City. But there are some really simple things that we can do for water conservation that we'll take a look at and bring back to council. Doyle Wilson, who has a PhD and has worked with the city for many, many years, is working diligently on some solutions that are pretty easy that residents can jump on board for, but also more long-term things for the city as far as reuse waters and those types of things. But again, we've been a leader on those areas. And so what we're trying to do is encourage our neighbors in the Southwest to join us in water conservation. So Southern California, down in the valley, those types of places. You don't drive through Lake Havasu City and see green lawns. You see nice desert landscapes, and we need to replicate that throughout the Southwest. Jess, I don't know if you have any additional thoughts on the conservation discussions we've been having. Yeah, we had the presentation that you indicated at the council meeting a few weeks back in that work session as we talked about that tier 1 water shortage. One of the data points that we took a look at, we actually use less water in Lake Havasu City than we did 10 years ago. Think about that. We've grown quite a bit in 10 years, but we're using less water than we were 10 years ago. That's because our residents understand the importance of water conservation and the different measures that the city's kind of put into place on our end to meet the expectations of our residents. So we will continue to do just that. Lots of conversations right about tier 1 water shortage and tier 2, and we have priority 4 water rights, and we have our water allocation. A lot of boring terms that are out there. The mayor and the council are very much involved in those discussions and have a really solid understanding. Dr. Wilson, who guides that process on the back end from that perspective, and our city team, we have a solid understanding of what these things mean. In the end, we're using half of our water allocation that we have assigned to us right now. And in the end, it's important for us to make sure that we continue to conserve water and put a plan into place that's going to make the most sense kind of moving forward. So, and then
In terms of what does that mean, rain here in Arizona really doesn't help us in terms of the water that we use. All the water that comes through Lake Havasu that we enjoy on the lower Colorado River, that then flows to LA area and Phoenix area and so forth, is what's important as we make sure that we're mitigating that situation. Yeah, we're going to take questions here in a little bit, sir. So yeah.
Hi. Yeah.
We'll
take
doing
questions
something.
in a couple minutes, yes. Yeah, so the other item is workforce housing or attainable housing. The housing prices have certainly increased in Lake Havasu City, which is good for homeowners and property owners as their investment and equity has grown, but it's causing issues obviously for workforce and workforce recruitment in our area. People are being forced out of their homes, and there's not a lot of other options. In Lake Havasu City, we often talk about that we're an island and we don't really have any bedroom communities where workforce can live, or as Jess says, drive to qualify.
You drive till you qualify.
Yeah, on homes. So basically, the further you live away, the cheaper or the more realistic housing is for certain people. We don't have that here, so we need to have different housing options for our citizens. And what we're really aimed at is trying to have diversification in our housing stock. We have a lot of single-family homes, but we don't have a whole lot of apartment homes. We don't have a whole lot of townhomes that allow a person to enter into the real estate market and the home market and then grow into a single-family home as their family grows or whatnot. And so we're working on a variety of different fronts. The city doesn't build homes. I mean, that's not what we do, but we can make it easy for people to build homes. And through Jess's leadership and his team at the city, making the permit process easy so we can get it through the city and get the permits so people can get building right away. We also are working to bring different grant opportunities available to different landowners or developers that would build this type of inventory. We are in discussions with some pretty serious people that are considering that. And then we're also working with the county and seeing about some growth outside of Lake Havasu City limits, but that will allow our residents still to have access to housing, and then they can use the services here in Lake Havasu City. So we have some good things on that front. Jess, you've joined me in many of those conversations. I don't know if you have anything additional to add.
I think it just maybe kind of we all kind of feel it, right, and what that looks like, and some of us much more than others, but we don't have a lot of options for long-term rentals in Lake Havasu City, and we've had an influx of folks that come into Lake Havasu that are leaving states like California and other states that are coming here. Prices are driven up at that point. We have 1,500 to 1,600 homes in Havasu right now that are designated as short-term rentals. That's 1,500 homes that aren't available for long-term rentals. Our local businesses are feeling the impacts. COVID had a huge impact in terms of the dollars that were flowing from the federal government into pockets that people weren't out there and seeking jobs, and at the same time, that we have those issues that occur with what we're talking about here right now, and with the short-term rentals and so forth. But so we need to solve that problem. We need to take a look at what it is. You drive by any local business, there's a help wanted sign on the door, right? Here at the city, dozens of times in just in the last couple of months, we have a vacancy with the city for a position. We'll do interviews. We'll select the most qualified for that position. We'll make that individual a job offer. That individual will accept that job offer. And again, this is dozens of times. They'll call us back within a couple of days and say, I did the research. I can't afford to live in Lake Havasu City. I have to decline that offer. So we have lots of vacancies at the city as an employer that's impacting us. But it's impacting every small business within Lake Havasu City. We need more options for long-term rentals. And as you indicated, there's some glimmers of hopes in different projects that are popping up. Some within Lake Havasu City, some outside of Lake Havasu City. But again, we need more options for folks that are looking for long-term rentals, and that's the goal.
And so it's been coupled by a couple of things where people that have owned long-term rentals have seen the property values increase, and they want to take advantage of that investment, so they want to sell the home. That then displaces that renter that was in the home and causes an issue because the new owner wants to move in and use that as their home. Or with the remote workers and the remote workforce over the last 18 months, people that have owned a home here for many, many years and had it as an investment, had a long-term renter in there while they were preparing for retirement, now can come here and work. And so then that displaces the long-term renters so that they can move into their home a few years earlier ahead of their original schedule. So there's lots of different factors that have been at play here, but we are working diligently to be able to help have diversified housing stock that will help limit that issue for our citizens. We'll continue to stay focused on that.
And again, the long-term rental aspect of it is somewhat tied to short-term rentals. There's many other factors that are occurring out there too. Our good folks in the legislature that represent Lake Havasu City, including Representative Leah Biasucci and Senator Borelli, that's in the back of the audience over there too. They've met with us. They've indicated the understanding of the impacts of short-term rentals in Lake Havasu City, and they told us that that's going to be one of their top priorities going into this session. Is to get a little bit more controls into place for the short-term rentals. So there's a nuisance and noise and things like that occur, but there's an impact on the long-term rentals, and we're very thankful for their efforts as they lead that process in this next session.
We also yesterday were able to have for the first time our Community Resource Coalition this year. We've been dark for about a year, but what the Community Resource Coalition is we gathered together all of our social service agencies, all of our nonprofits, all of the organizations that come together and provide services for our citizens. The idea is to be able to bring people together so we can have a mutual conversation and understanding of what services we have available in Lake Havasu City. I convened this group right after I took office, and I was surprised when the very first meeting we had over 110 organizations show up to the meeting that represent different organizations that assist citizens somehow, whether that's through education, financial literacy, vouchers, whatever it might be. I mean, it was all sorts of different things. And so we wanted to come together and make sure that we didn't have any huge gaps that we weren't providing to our citizens. And if there was any mission creep where people were duplicating efforts, how do we help them so that we aren't duplicating those efforts and we're putting those efforts to the best use of our citizens. Some great conversations have come out of the Resource Coalition and continue to do so. That is one of the only meetings that we do public outreach and public engagement that after the event, I don't have people coming up to me, they're going up to each other and they're starting that conversation of how their organization can help another organization. It's really a fantastic thing. I'm glad that we were able to bring it back and start those conversations again, and also applaud all of those organizations that did such amazing work pivoting over the last year and a half or so to still be able to provide those services to our citizens or pivot to help citizens that had new needs that we never even had or understood before. So we'll continue to have that. We'll keep you updated on the outcomes of that coalition and the good work that they're doing. You were there, Jess. I don't know if you have any additional comments on that, but.
No, I mean, it's thanks for bringing that back. Through your leadership, Mayor, you organized that event, and we took a look at all the different nonprofits and charities that are doing great things in Lake Havasu City, and we're looking at different scenarios where there's different overlap that's occurring. So we have like maybe 4 or 5 different nonprofits in the community, including our great churches in our community that are providing a similar service than the other one. Well, let's bring them together and let's have a conversation on how much more you can do working as 4 or 5 than you can as one independently of all the rest. So it's great to see those conversations take place. It's fantastic to see the different nonprofits talking to each other and organizing better ways of serving our residents. But in the end, it's every time I walk into that room with all those people that are in there, it puts a huge smile on my face to know everybody there in that room represents tens of thousands of people that they're assisting and helping and providing resources for our residents. So we're very, very lucky to have that many nonprofits and charities within Lake Havasu City. That speaks volumes.
A couple of quick updates, and then we're going to get to your questions. One is concerts in the park are back. They start today. They're over at London Bridge Beach Park. First Friday is also tonight. If you do go to First Friday, go up the street just a little bit and see Mary Lou and her team up at Haven and check out their open house. Some really great things are happening in October, and I hope you take advantage of them. We are going to have Senator Borelli come up. We're going to take your questions first, and then we're going to give Senator Borelli the rest of the time to talk and give you an update and answer any questions you might have of the state. Before we do so, I do want to introduce Vice Mayor Jenny Koch with us. Thank you for being here. We also have Councilmember David Lane. Thank you for being here. And Councilmember Nancy Campbell is here as well. Thank you. All right, so now Councilmember Lane is going to go around with the microphone so he can take your questions, or give you the microphone so we can hear your questions.
And we may have an issue with some feedback, so.
We will.
I got one here. I'll start here and then I'll go there.
Good morning. I'm a daily channel walker, and I've noticed in the last few months that there's been some bad activity in the park and such, vandalism, graffiti, dogs in Rotary Park. How are you going to address that? Are we going to have any kind of security cameras, or could we have possibly people or police walk the beat here at night to kind of curtail this problem before it gets any bigger?
Yeah, thank you for the question. Jess, you want to take that? Or?
Sure, I can talk about a little bit about what's happening down in the Channel area. Obviously, the space that the city owns in the Channel area is where we're standing on directly underneath the bridge. So this is what we own in terms of city property. The rest is private property that extends down through the channel and obviously until we get to Rotary Park. Our crews work very hard because we know the channel is important in terms of trash free and all the rest. We rely on our private sector partners for a lot of that, but we do tons. Mike Keene is our parks director. His team is in charge of park maintenance for all the parks throughout the community, and including all the efforts that happen in the channel area. I tell you what, have you ever seen, experienced Labor Day weekend and how the volume of people and trash that gets accumulated on that weekend, and the next morning you come out for that walk and it's trash free? That's Mike Keene and his team that are taking care of that. Can we do? Yeah. Thank you, Mike. Can we do a better job? Yes, we can always do a better job in all aspects, but we try very, very hard, and we got some really good people that work for us that do a really great job. Graffiti is really taken off here in the last 5-6 months. We're seeing graffiti in the downtown area. We're seeing graffiti along 95 and in different areas, on private businesses, on public utilities, and so forth. We know that we need to get that graffiti off as soon as possible. And Mike, in his efforts with his team, our public works team is out there accomplishing these things as well too. Don't tell anybody, but in some instances when we see graffiti on property that we don't own, maybe a public utility or whatever else too, we're just going on there and getting rid of it. Instead of taking those steps to contact the owner or whatever else too, we know we need to get rid of that. So there's a lot of graffiti that's been placed in Havasu that you haven't seen, and that's for good reason. But I'm with you 100% in terms of what we need to do to keep our parks and channel and areas clean, and I appreciate the feedback.
Yeah, and we also have increased police patrols in that area, and not to give away all of the secrets of the police department, but we do go through all of that graffiti, and they keep records of it, so we can find patterns, and eventually they can find hopefully the culprits that are there. And there are some security cameras throughout this area, some that go right into the 911 dispatch center that are monitored all the time. So we do have some opportunities to be able to catch the folks.
And with the graffiti, our PD works very, very hard, and we are looking at those areas for fingerprints. So if any of you are guilty of vandalizing or providing graffiti, which of course nobody here would do that, but we are doing our due diligence to catch the people that are doing that.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay, to the answer to that, the resort is amazing. Every time something happens, you can grab one of their security, they'll come down, we get the homeless, they get them out of here, they help us. They monitor it really, really well. They have lots of security guys driving around in golf carts all day. They don't work on our side of the bridge, but they come over and they help us. So if anything happens, the resort's amazing. Call them. Doug's the head of security, and he'll do an amazing job.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah,
that's how we handle it down here, because I'm down here all the time. Yeah. And when things happen, usually I call the resort first and then the police. Because the resort, if I call Doug or security or even Cal, they're like, okay, Harriet, we'll send someone right down. And it's handled within minutes.
Yeah. Thank you.
So we're lucky to have them here.
Lucky to have you. Thank you.
Yes.
I need to talk about your water and sewer bills.
Okay.
My water usage bill is $1.70 a month. Now, to get rid of the water is $52 and change. How does that balance out? My sewer bill went up approximately 27% with this new increase. How many other people went up 27%? And I live on a fixed income. Next, the city water is so bad it eats holes in the pipes. Everybody knows that. I had one underground that created a leak, and it leaked 3,000 gallons before it come up to the ground so I could see it was wet and dig it up and fix it. The city charged me for water that went through and ate a hole in my pipe, when my average bill is 760, 80 gallons a month. It went to 3,000 something, and I had to pay for bad water going through my pipe and eating a hole in it. Why didn't the city fix the water here?
All right, lots of questions there. So we talked about the utility rate study. The basic of it, there's 2 different pieces, obviously, that make up your water bill. Can you guys hear me over the sound? Okay, 2 different things that make up your water bill, or your entire water bill, is the water side and the sewer side. So basically, we went to a per dwelling charge for sewer at $54.
On the single family side?
Yes.
Yeah, 48 is the base rate, and then up to 54 is the cap rate,
So,
depending on your water usage.
So it caps at $54 on the sewer side. And then on the water side, included in your base water charge is the first 500 cubic feet, and then you pay for additional water up to 750 cubic feet?
Yeah, there's different tiers. So the more water you use, the more water you're paying. The less water you use, the less you're paying.
So that's basically the premise, and that was to build the equity into the whole system. So residents that are part-time residents that don't live here full-time, that they're paying 12 months worth of infrastructure, because we still have the infrastructure that has to be there. Now, as far as the water quality in Lake Havasu City meets all of the requirements for ADEQ.
Exceeds.
It exceeds it, actually, as Jess just had mentioned. And so that's the truth. I mean, if our water ate through your pipes and then you had water leak and had to pay for that, I mean, call customer service. Our customer service teams work really diligently with our citizens and ratepayers to ensure that it's equitable for everybody. So, yeah.
The neighbor had a water leak in his garage, and the pipes up in the attic, and it went down through the sheetrock, down the walls, down everything else. He had to tear it all out and fix it. City didn't pay for it, but it was city water. They ate a hole in his pipe.
Yeah. In terms of city water, the quality, it exceeds all standards in terms of safety and whatever else too. The concerns that we have with our water here in Havasu and throughout Arizona is a lot of this is it's groundwater. So it's hard, right? It's hard water. A lot of our residents have water softeners within their community. There's impacts with that on the back end of how the city has to pay extra to maintain that, which is fine. But in terms of our water quality, it exceeds all standards. But it's hard. There's a hard water element tied to it, so we have to make sure that we're keeping up with everything that's happening within our properties.
So there was quite the headline in the paper the other day.
Well, I can't understand.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
Oh, okay. So there was quite the headline in the paper the other day about tax income in this city. Something along the lines of $7 million bonus from tax income from restaurants, hotels.
Our sales tax receipts. Are you talking about like our sales tax receipts and the increase in the bed tax receipts that are coming to the town based on all the activity that's happening in Lake Havasu?
Yes.
Okay.
So my question is, what are you going to do with all that money? And so you got a quite the windfall. How about you put some of it away, because what goes up must come down.
Yeah.
So I mean, let's not just go spend because you can. You need to put some of that away. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you for the question. Those that might not have heard it, was with the excess in revenues that we've been receiving in sales tax collections, not to spend that money, to save some of those monies, which I'm proud to say we are. We are saving it. We have a budget stabilization reserve. We also have reserves and contingency monies that we are saving. The way that municipal budget works is if it's not budgeted for an expense, it can't be spent. So just because you see revenues increasing does not mean that our expenses are increasing. All of our budget conversations occur during the budget hearings, When those budget hearings happen, we take what our revenues are available. We talk about ongoing expenses or one-time expenses, and what's the impact and what's the feedback from the citizens. What are the priorities that you all are wanting from the city, and how can we provide that service? So we are saving those monies at a higher level than we've ever saved before. Greg?
Good morning, Mayor. As you know, I'm part of a large number of people in this community that have every intention on holding you and the city manager accountable for the decisions that you made during the COVID crisis. That's a separate issue. But it goes to the same issue that I'm here to talk about today as the president of our homeowners association. And that is the unintended consequences of the decisions that primarily the two of you have made and the impact that it's had on the citizens here. Whether it was under the guise of COVID or it's under the guise of some study that you had done, of which let's take a look at the options here, what could happen. And I have two questions, one for you and one for you, very simple ones. First one is either you hired this consultant and either this guy was inept or this company was inept and didn't provide you the information that you needed to make the decisions that you made. That's one possibility. Number two is you had this consultant and they were totally unaware of the consequences. Third opportunity is here, or option is that they were aware and they failed to disclose it to city staff. Another option is city staff knew but failed to disclose it to the city council. Maybe everybody knew and failed to disclose it to the citizens. All I know is that our homeowners association bill went from $2,267 a month to over $6,700 a month. $6,700 a month. I try to get an explanation from the city manager, and all I get is excuses for why this occurred. Excuses. And the reason that we're here is, and the reason I'm here is that we have lost trust and confidence in your ability to be honest with us up front. So my question to you, Mayor, first you, is did you know prior to making the decision to vote on this increase that it would have the disparate impact on homeowners associations and multifamily complexes? It's a simple yes or no. Either you knew that it was going to have this impact or you did not know. Which is it?
We did not know that it was going to have this significant of an impact, and that's why we're looking at it again.
Okay, all right. Same question for you, Jess. Did you know or did you not know, simple yes or no, that this was going to be the impact on multifamily homeowners and condos and apartment buildings? Did you know?
To the degree that
it's a yes or no, Jess.
Greg, I'm going to respond. Okay, I'm not going to be cornered in terms of a yes or no. So let me respond with a little bit of detail and a little bit of thought.
Wait a minute. No, I get to frame the question here. You don't get to stand up and pontificate. I've framed the question, and I expect an answer.
Yeah, Greg.
You work for us, right? It's a very simple yes or no question. Jess, did you know or did you not know that this was going to have the disparate impact on these homeowners when you presented this to the city? Yes or no?
Can I respond? What I am aware of is that we were talking about increasing the base rates for all units within the condo associations that would meet up with what the single family homeowners were paying. What I didn't know is that the stark increase per HOA bill that would occur. As Mayor indicated earlier, we see that, we look at that, and now we need to pivot, and we need to take a look at what those impacts are. You indicated we had a conversation 2 weeks ago. You indicated that you had a bill of $6,600. We also let you know that there was an error on the city side. That's not disclosed with any of this stuff too. There's a credit going to that bill of $1,400, I believe is what we talked about.
And that's okay with you? That's okay. Supposed to be acceptable.
I want to make sure that we're putting the right numbers out.
Yeah, well, let's put the right numbers out.
Okay.
Our bill increased over 3 times as much. One of the objectives of that report was fair and equitable distribution of the costs to keep this infrastructure up and in place. You tell me how a 400 square foot studio apartment or condo unit where they're gone 60% of the year should be paying as much as a single family homeowner with 4 people in a swimming pool. How is that fair and equitable? The minute I hear fair and equitable in a report, a study, it raises red flags to me. That's almost like inclusiveness or sustainability. It's a buzz term, and it raised red flags for me initially.
And I'm here to tell you right now, we're getting all the association homeowners together, and our position is that this is a bill that is in dispute. We're not paying it. We're simply not paying it. It's in dispute, and I encourage everybody else to not pay it until this gets resolved. You couldn't even suspend this thing at the request of Councilmember Campbell. Couldn't even suspend it until you got your heads around it. You have no desire to concern yourselves with the impact that your decisions have on the citizens of this community. And we're going to hold the both of you, our group specifically, intend to hold both of you accountable. Accountability is where we're at here, and there doesn't seem to be any in government. We have lost trust and confidence, tired of you with your hand around the throat of our freedoms with one hand while you're reaching into our back pockets to take money with the other. Done. It's over.
Thank you for your comments, Greg. On the 26th, we'll be addressing it.
Good morning, Mayor, City Manager, and everybody else. Good morning. I just wanted to make a suggestion with the tax money that you're going to be getting from the citizens. If you could please build a accessible handicap ramp for people to come from the top of the bridge down into the English Village that doesn't take you a mile away or down steep hills. I noticed, again, there's still a walking path that people who do not like the stairs have created in the rocks already for you to just cement over the top of. I know that there's probably a little bit of extra just than cementing, but it would be nice for people who are in a wheelchair or in a scooter that just can't get up and walk around anymore when they want to, that they would be able to get from the top of the bridge down to the village without having to go through the parking lot and then down through the hotel. It's long. Also, on that whole handicap access thing, there apparently are a lot of businesses and shopping centers that don't think about the whole handicap access. I'd just like to point out that there are ways to make things handicap accessible that you probably never thought of if you're walking around. But when you're sitting in a wheelchair or a scooter that just doesn't go up over the curb at the end of your business, you could make a handicap accessible curve right there at the end of the sidewalk. There are a lot of businesses in town like that.
Yeah, thank you for your comments. And Bonnie, you and I have talked about that in the past, that this is private land holdings, and so we don't have the ability to do that. But we can talk about some ADA things. But Bonnie, we'll talk afterwards. Yes.
Hi, good morning, Mayor.
Good morning.
Thank you for meeting with us this morning. I just have I was just wondering if you had ever considered an indoor space for smaller children, like from 0 to 5 or 6 years old, for a complete indoor space with trampolines, maybe an indoor play area, anything indoor. We have nice parks. We have a great aquatic center that I use. I'm taking care of my 2-year-old granddaughter, and there's really nothing for us to do in the summertime after 10 o'clock in the morning. So I was wondering if the city had ever considered something indoors for the smaller children that are not in school during the summer, from April to, October.
Sure. Yeah, thank you for your question. We have a really robust Parks and Rec department that does a variety of indoor and outdoor activities. We've had some of those bounce houses and trampoline parks and the like come through as private businesses, but unfortunately they haven't been successful over the years. I don't know, Jess, if you have any additional thoughts from Parks and Rec standpoint.
Yeah, I mean, I appreciate the input, and we hear that quite a bit in terms of that age group especially. Right now, the one amenity we do have is at the Aquatic Center, and that's open with extended hours throughout the summer months. But, that as far as dropping off your children, that you don't want to do that, right? But, yeah. Yeah. Oh, I see. Okay. Yeah. So I think we hear that comment quite a bit, and it's something that Micah and I have talked about, and Parks and Recreation Board have talked about it to a certain degree. So yeah, thank you.
And a lot of things happen in the community based on these types of things. So seeds are planted, and you just planted a seed. So we'll have further discussions. Yes. Yeah. Thank you.
This camera? Hi, folks. For those who don't know me, my name is Gary Sybil. I'm a Marine veteran. I've lived in town 18 years now. Hoorah. Anyways, I got a program I'd like to talk about if I have a few minutes. A couple things. I've been working with the mayor on, city manager, assistant city manager, so forth. I got pissed off and passionate. Oh, we're on TV. I gotta watch my language. Sorry, folks.
We can't hear you. You got to hold the mic up.
Sorry. I started my own program. I started my own nonprofit. God told me to do this. I found God. He told me to start a nonprofit to aid veterans. That's what I started. I funded it, and my beautiful wife helped me set it up. So here's what I'm going to do. I got any veterans that need help, all you got to do is contact me, and I'll make them happy. I'll fix what needs to be fixed. My number is 928, if you want to write it down. Thanks, guys, for giving me your pen. I stole someone's pen. I think that lady over there. I'll get it back. But if you want jobs, housing, food, I'm also having a benefit concert November 12th, the day after Veterans Day. It's going to be at the park over here. All the proceeds, I got several bands, all the proceeds go to local veterans. Some of the things I'm going to address, we already talked about, is housing. I got some ideas for veterans housing. I got a lot of ideas. Hopefully I can build my own house for veterans. Or another idea, we can house our veterans where it's less expensive, and we can shuttle them all here for the jobs. So they can work in Havasu, we can shuttle them all here for jobs and shuttle them back. That's one of the ideas. What I'm looking for from you, the most patriotic city in the nation, is volunteers. I need volunteers to help me with the concert, help me with the jobs, donations for the concert. We're going to have an auction. We're going to auction off cars, you name it, guns, everything, and all proceeds from the concert auction goes to local veterans programs that I'm designating. I got a program, if you want to help a veteran, it's going to be called Adopt a Vet. You go, just talk to that vet, help them out with things, and that's the program. Simple, whatever you want to do. Some other stuff I got going on.
Yeah, Gary, we're going to answer questions right now for folks, but we appreciate
we want to save time for Senator Borelli as well, too.
I got to go to the gym anyways.
Okay, yeah, so thanks for being here. Thanks for what you do. We'll take one more question, then we'll bring up the senator we'll take two more questions. Yeah.
All right, it's a two-part question. The Havasu Fitness facility and the old Kmart facility, could you update us on what's going on there and how progress is going? And when the new courthouse finally does open, is there going to be kind of an open house so that we can see what our tax dollars are buying us?
Sure. Yes, so we have PMG is located now on McCulloch where Kmart formerly was. It's a manufacturing firm that uses high-tech robotics, and they currently have over 90 employees, locally sourced employees. They will grow to 263 in the next 3 years. So a great success story to repurpose a 110,000 square foot facility in the center of our downtown into an employment center. And then when it comes to 92 Acoma, that is going to be the home of the new courthouse. Currently, they're in the planning processes. Council has approved a contract with a company that is now working with Jess and his team for the design. Jess, I don't know if you have any additional updates on that.
Yeah, so we discussed it at a recent council meeting. Council gave direction in terms of limiting the expense and making sure that we're wise with the taxpayer dollars, and we're in that process now to put together a design with the architect, and we're going to start some conversations with the construction team as well too, to make sure that those conversations are on the same level and collect as much information as possible. So we'll have something to bring back to council here in the upcoming months.
Yeah, thank you. And then Sonia, and this will be our final question, then we'll bring Senator Borelli up.
Forgive me if we've already answered this previously. I haven't been here in a couple of months, but did we ever decide anything on the scooter situation in the city? You know, bringing in the little scooters downtown?
Oh, scooters?
Oh, scooters.
Okay.
Yes, I thought I was hearing schools up here.
I heard yeah. It's hard. It is. There's an echo back here.
Yeah. So yes. So we put together the council and staff worked together and put together a pilot program for scooters. And the scooters are those scooters you see in big towns that you pay with like a ride share app, and you ride them up and down. You basically pick them up and then you drop them off where your destination is, and someone else will pick it up. We put the pilot program together. When we did so, the company that was interested decided that they weren't interested in coming to Lake Havasu City. So that's a non-issue at this point. So, well, thank you so much.
How long for the internet service before that?
The Allo Communications is like 18 to 24 months.
So yeah, they're moving very, very quickly in terms. They've already reached out to us to start some of that paperwork process and get that thing going. They talk about if everything goes smoothly, and actually I think there's a 6-month process with the state that's taking place right now too. They get past that, they'll start the permitting process. Once they start, it'll be about a 12 to 18 month time frame. So maybe in about fingers crossed, within 2 years, every home will have fiber to the home with a high-speed internet.
All right, with that, I'd like to introduce Senator Borelli, who's been a true champion for Lake Havasu City. Yeah, he's a great friend to all things for us, and he wanted to take a few minutes and give you an update. So,
yes,
welcome, Senator.
Good morning, Jess. I just want to kind of give you a bit of an update. The Veterans Home, the feasibility study has been ordered for a Veterans Home. Hopefully, we're going to have it here in Lake Havasu. The target is north of the town.
Yeah, let's try this one,
Can you
Sonny.
What?
Let's try that one.
Test. Here we go. The hills are alive. Okay. Just want to give you an update. The Veterans Home we had approved in the state budget. The feasibility study has been ordered by the Arizona Department of Veteran Services. Hopefully it will be here in Lake Havasu City. The target property is just north of us. Our competitor is Kingman. I'm lobbying really hard for Lake Havasu and so a few other folks. But anyway, the feasibility study is being conducted, been ordered. So that will be coming out, final results out sometime, hopefully soon. But we know how government works, it's pretty slow. But also, I would like to give you an update on the audit that was conducted in Maricopa County by the state Senate. Contrary to popular belief from the mainstream media, that has been perpetuated, even here in our own newspaper has regurgitated an article that came out from a Phoenix newspaper. There is no way you can figure out who really won. The media came out with that Biden won. The Senate did not find fraud. It is not the Senate's position or the auditor's position to define and determine what is fraud. We have found so many anomalies and violations of election law that all of the evidence that we have is being turned over to the Attorney General for a criminal investigation, and they will follow through and they will determine what is fraud and what is not. You know, the media said that Biden had X amount of votes and Trump had X amount of votes and therefore Biden won. Let's break it down really simple. If you have $1,000 and $200 of that currency is counterfeit, do you still have $1,000? The answer is no. We have thousands of ballots that are suspect, that they don't look like they were filled in by human hand. That is called physical evidence that's being turned over to the Attorney General for them to decide and figure out if it is counterfeit or not. If it's a Xerox copy of an original ballot, it is not an official legal ballot. We actually had forensic experts look at the digital images of the ballot envelopes. Maricopa County Elections Department allowed thousands of envelopes to go in and be injected in the system with 0 signatures. 0 signatures. Some of them just had a little tick mark on it, like looked like just a pen mark that didn't even resemble even an attempted signature, and they allowed that to go in. That is an illegal ballot. Once you separate the ballot from the envelope and inject it in the system, there's no way to marry the two up again. We also have evidence that thousands of data files were deleted off the election server which is a violation of federal and state law. All data, files, everything that is with an election must be preserved for 22 months federal law, 24 months Arizona state law. We have evidence that things were obviously deleted, destroyed. We have basically cyber unsecurity, deleted files, evidence that was not preserved, duplicate ballots, and we actually have evidence of internet connection, which is also a violation of federal law. Look, folks, I know some of us supported Trump, some did not. This is not about an election on who won, who lost. When you have an internet connection, which is a violation of federal law and state law, that's a national security issue, because we cannot have foreign interference or domestic interference in our elections. You have a right to free and fair elections. I serve, Cal serves, Nancy serves, Dave serves. We serve at the consent of the governed. And if that consent has been compromised and undermined, we are no longer a constitutional republic. We're a banana republic. And we end up with appointments and not elections. This I will not stand for. We will fight this all the way through. Like I said, the Attorney General has opened up an investigation, and they've requested all the items be preserved that Maricopa County has, and this is most likely going to go through a court system and a court battle. And by the way, we have actually identified certain individuals that potentially deleted. We have date and time stamp and video and film of those people that are considered, well, they're innocent until proven guilty, but we've identified those people, and hopefully they'll be charged. Anyway, thank you very much. Yeah.
Thank you, Senator. Yeah, does anyone have any questions for Senator Borelli? All right.
I am running for re-election, so if you want to sign my petition for get me back on the ballot, that'd be great. Improve your net and hire a vet.
Thank you, Senator, and thank you for your leadership on that issue and all the other issues you help with Lake Havasu City. We appreciate it. All right, our next coffee with the mayor and city manager will be on Friday, November 5th, 2021, so just next month. The location, stay tuned, follow us on Facebook or social media, and we'll let you know the location. As we always like to do is end with some fun facts. These fun facts are from Go Lake Havasu. You can check them out, and they're all about the London Bridge, obviously since we're celebrating our golden anniversary. Some of you already may know these, but we'll go over them anyhow. So the inside of the bridge, right above us, is hollow. And that's because it was rebuilt in order to accommodate auto traffic. So during the bridge's reassembly, a steel framework was faced with the granite rather than using the solid granite blocks as it was back in the city of London. And it reduced its weight from 130,000 tons down to 30,000 tons while also strengthening the structure. So the bridge is a very solid and a modern bridge underneath the beautiful granite facade. When dismantled in London, it obviously was taken down piece by piece and labeled and numbered. You can still see some of those numbers if you look closely along the bridge today. And then the London Bridge is the world's largest antique. It was the largest antique ever sold, and when Robert McCulloch had to bring it back through on the customs form, it's the largest antique that you ever saw. You don't think of those types of things until you look at that. So everything about the London Bridge, again, thank you for the opportunity to serve you as mayor. Thank you for being here this morning. We look forward to future conversations, and if we can be of any service, we'll be here afterwards. I do encourage you to stay for the great event that's going to kick off the ribbon cutting for our golden anniversary that will follow just right after this. So have a great day, and thanks for joining us.
Enjoy this beautiful day. Thank you, everybody.